12 o'clock creeped up on me real quick. So trying to eat, manage life, doing all of the things, as you can assume.
All right.
Closed my biggest deal ever today, though.
Oh,
Congrats.
yay, congrats. This is the one. The
At 2.25 million.
nice.
Congratulations.
Thank
That feels
you.
good.
And
That's
you
like
know where they found me?
congratulations.
They found me on Instagram.
That's
So
amazing. I just got a 1.5 referral on Instagram from like a real agent in New Jersey. I've never gotten an Instagram lead, so I must be doing something right. So
that's great.
I
Are
know.
you're doing a lot of stuff that says like were they looking for Northville specifically?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
you're posting all your Northville stuff,
yeah,
so it's working.
yeah, it works. It's consistency and hashtags and all that stuff. So
Love it. Yeah,
yeah.
you're doing
Well,
great with it.
what happens is that all the searches, when they do a search on it, they pull up the Instagram account. And if it's something targeted to Northville or anything like that, you'll have those there too. So that's
So
good.
I'll show you.
Congratulations.
I'm going to show you guys really quickly what I did on my Instagram that they said was one of the things that they loved about my account and why they chose to go with me right away. I'm gonna go back to Zoom. This has nothing to do with today's call, but I'm gonna show you guys anyways, because you guys can copy what I did. And let Crystal get in here real quick. So let me show you guys. Crystal, I'm just showing them, you just popped on. I'm showing them. I had a huge closing today and it came from Instagram. So I created these here,
Um,
how to work with me, my values, why I do what I do. And the post, it's basically just goes into a carousel of sellers. Here's how I work with sellers, buyers, relo, agents together, basically just saying like, this is how you work with me, no matter how. My values, trust, drive, excellence, collaboration, growth. So I, put all the stuff in here, why I do what I do, my family, the impact I make, trust, growth, you. So basically, they saw those and they were like, hands down, we knew immediately you were who we wanted to go with. So that's
and
good.
awesome photos help too. So
Yeah, they were good pictures. And you know what? So here's the thing, like, so Instagram, a lot of people say, look at other industries for ideas. So I actually got that idea from a hairstylist who had on there like how to work with me, how like what clients I do, why you should choose me. And I was like, oh, I love this idea. I can pivot that to real estate. So worked out great.
I love that. It's so
Yeah.
visual too. Like the minute you open your
Well,
Instagram profile,
when you're on your phone, it's the first three
right.
that show up and they're my pinned post.
You
So
can,
like they're the
right. That's what
top
I mean. The
three.
minute they open your Instagram, it's like boom. It's not just some random, you know,
Right. Well,
even because I've got pinned posts, but they're not, it's so consistent across the top. It's just so
right.
visually appealing too. And then they can read through it. It's
Well,
awesome.
it's really like your call to action, right? You're telling people, hey, go, this is exactly why you want to work with me. You're not making people like scroll
Go
through
to a
or
website and
yeah, like it's
yes.
very clear on what you're doing. So
Yeah.
so we're recording already. I don't have a presentation. We're just like Julie, I'm so glad you're on here. Do you have to, usually have to run early? Do you have to leave early today?
No, I don't.
We get you for the full time. Yay. So you're gonna
Oh,
help
that's
me.
like so amazing. No.
This is gonna be good because this is one that I actually have asked Kathy Schomburger 3 times to host with me, and she's always busy. But Kathy is an agent on our team who she's just a killer agent and she knocks it out of the park with her listing. So I wanted to have her on here, but I started thinking about it and I was like, we all have these conversations like every day. So why don't we just like Julie, I might use you for some of this or even just talk to you about like how you would handle a situation. And we got Jeremy on here now too. This is going to be perfect. Jeremy did a lot of training for KW, but he's on his own again. I don't even know if he can hear me yet because he's probably connecting to his audio. But we're going to call on Jeremy too. But I wanted to, and Dan, you could even help with some of these too, because you get objections and stuff with your business. So, I wanted to bring up basically the tough conversations that we have to have in the real estate world and how we can navigate through those, with success. Because obviously, we're dealing with a lot of money. We're dealing with emotions. We're dealing with, huge financial decisions. We're dealing with parents. We're dealing with conflict. There's a lot of different things that we have to deal with. That I'm sorry, I'm trying to like pull up two screens at once so I can actually see what I'm doing. Hold on 1 minute here.
While you're doing that, I mean, one of my favorite quotes, and I always keep it in the back of my mind, is your success in this business is directly proportionate to the amount of tough conversations you're willing to have, and it could not be more true. It could
Well,
not
that and
be a
having
truer
those
statement.
conversations up front, because
Yes, having them early at any sign of, trouble, like
right.
any turbulence, address it right away, even if it's difficult, and you know how many times you're like, oh, I saw that coming. I knew it. I saw it coming, and then it came. And it was much harder to have a conversation after it came than it would have been to just address it right out of the gate. And you just didn't want to do it. But the little bit said in the beginning creates just a much better experience, I think, for everyone, and less sleepless nights.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, in my opinion, just like you said, like having those conversations early, trying to, give your client options, instead of telling them this is what we need to do, giving them like, here's choice A, B, or C. Tell me what you want to do. And I learned that I really try not to double end deals anymore because of this. Plus I don't want to get sued. So I try really hard not to double end deals anymore. But it becomes when you're literally pulling your freaking hair out of your head because you're dealing with an unreasonable buyer, an unreasonable seller, or both. Heaven forbid you have both, like I did. It was like, I'm going to lose my mind. I never want to do real estate again. I'm done with this business. And then it's like, okay, take a breather. This is not my money. Like, yeah, it's my money, commission, but like, these are not my decisions to be made. And when you can remove yourself from the emotion of the transaction and be their guardian, like, hey, I'm the peacemaker here. Here's your three choices. You could do A. Here's what's going to happen if you don't do A. If you go something else, this is, you're going to win if you do this. You're going to lose if you do this. B, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do C, this is what's going to happen. Let me know which one you choose. All of a sudden, now they have all of their options. They know what the consequences are based on each one, and they can make the decision, because at the end of the day, they're making the decision. And who wants a buyer or seller to come back later and be like, you told me to do this? No, I didn't. You chose. I gave you the three options and the three outcomes you chose. So I mean, there's all kinds of things that, I mean, if somebody's going to blame you, they're going to blame you. But at the end of the day, if you give them the choices, you can go back and say, look, I gave you these choices. This is why you chose this option. So anyways, let's jump in to all of this. So let me minimize this screen so I can see my other screen.
I'm here. Also take money. Can you turn that on, please? It's not phone time. Turn it off. Thank you.
What is happening?
Hanson,
okay.
What's happening?
It's okay. We're good. Must be traveling. All right. So let's talk some of these conversations. And like I said, Julie, I'm going to call on you for some of this stuff, and we're going to have some fun stuff, almost like a role play, but like not exactly a role play. We're going to talk about just how you would handle this. So, okay. Julie, I'm going to give you a quote that we hear, and I want you to tell me what would happen. Let's say I'm a buyer and, I'm sorry, the seller. You're the buyer or you're the listing agent. We want to list at 850, even though like you've already showed us the data. Like we know that the neighbor down the street sold and our house is better and we want to sell it at 850, even though you told us 750.
Oh gosh. Oh, great. We're only 100 grand.
Okay, all right. How about 800 and 850?
Okay, this is better. Yeah, well, I've provided you, some comparable sales in the neighborhood. And yes, there's a range. There's a range. But what we want to happen is we want to be appealing to the most amount of buyers. Wouldn't you agree? You want the most amount of people to come and see your house, to come to your party, let's say. So with that being said, these buyers could be looking at other homes in the area, similar homes to yours. Maybe some are more updated, maybe some are less. But they see a certain price. They see the price of your house, and when they leave your house at 850 and maybe go down the street to a house that's listed at, let's say, 775, and they know they can get that house for 775, and it's very, very similar to yours, they're going to gravitate towards the lower priced home. We want them to, if you price accordingly, according to the market, especially in this market that we're in here in Michigan, which is a seller's market, they're willing to pay more when they see that your house is similar to one down the street and it's priced lower, not higher. So we want them to see the value in your home. And what we're seeing is when that happens, with the amount of eyeballs we're going to get on your listing, it serves to drive the price up when you provide value to the marketplace. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was a great response.
Was
Very
it? Thank you. I felt
yeah.
like I talked in circles there for a minute. And
No, that was really good. It felt like you were actually talking to clients. That was good. I mean, and that's, my response that I had was, basically same thing. Yes, we could of course list at that price, but how is the market going to react and how is the market going to respond to it? And the homes that sell for the most money are usually positioned correctly from the beginning. They're not price reductions, right?
Yeah.
And overpricing usually obviously leads to longer days on the market, price reductions. And my goal, this was my favorite part here, is my goal is to get you the most money possible, not the highest list price. And that's a difference.
That's good.
And I don't think that people think about that's the difference. I will say though, and this is a great topic to talk about, is a lot of times, I will tell people, hey, we have 5 houses on the market that are similarly priced. I really think we should go on the lower end, which is going to drive more interest and drive up. And a lot of the response that I get is, well, what happens if we get offers at that price or lower? So what would you say to that, Julie?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, the house has to be in the good enough condition. I mean, if I'm confident of it, I guess I would say I would show them comparables. I would say, Mr. Seller, look at these last 3 sales in your neighborhood. If the comp support it, hopefully, and look at the list price versus the sales price. Can't you see with these very similar homes what has happened when they were priced properly? You can see that the home sold within 5 to 7 days at 30 to 60 grand over. So you just need to trust the market. You need to trust me. You're hiring me for my expertise, and the numbers also fall in line with what I'm telling you.
Right.
So yeah, that is, I get that one. I do get that one. What if it doesn't,
Right. And I know I talked to like Donovan, who's in California. I've talked to him about pricing, and a lot of times because their market's different there, he will have them list far below market value a lot of times to drive the price up, because he'll look at houses that are, this house is priced probably right now, but it was priced here and we watched it come down and down and down.
Yeah.
And now people are looking at it going, well, that house has been on the market for 120 days and it's had 3 price reductions. What's wrong with it? And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah. Maybe you could show them that one too. Show them an example of where it backfired, where someone listed too high and it sat on market for 88 days.
Right.
What about if you've had all these conversations and they still say, I don't care, I'm not in a hurry, I'll just wait, and I'm not giving my house away. And
Love that.
we've even had a licensed appraiser come out to the house and his comps matched mine. They still didn't like the price and they still wanted to list 120K over the appraisal value.
Oh, seriously? Is this a
Yeah.
hypothetical, or this happened or is happening to you?
This is happening
120K over the appraisal.
over the appraisal.
Why?
Because in 2021, a house down the street sold for $1 million. We have sold, I should say, I have sold all the houses in the sub because their house is priced too high. So all the houses that had been on the market for over 100 days sold when they saw this house's price and the updates needed.
So why are you going back to them and saying, look, another house sold at this price point, your house is not even as nice as this one, or find a nice way to say it, but your house needs more upgrades, and they still are like, nope, we'll wait?
Absolutely. I have said all that. I'm
not denying.
shown them houses. Yeah, I've shown them houses in their sub. I've said, let's go look at this house so I can show you the differences. Nope, they don't even want to go look at the other houses that are for sale in their sub. They
So,
are stubborn at this price.
so, I mean, in my opinion, how long have they been on the market?
We just did a conditional withdrawal, but we were at probably around 50 days. So
And
we'll go back on the market in April. I'm going to try again to get a lower price.
Did
It's
you have any offers at all, Jackie? Any low balls, any interest at all when it was on market?
no, because I think we're just way too high for even a low ball.
what city is this in, Jackie?
West Bloomfield.
Mm.
Do they really want to sell it? Like,
Well, it sounds like they don't. And
They've
that's
already bought a new house in Milford and moved in. So this house is empty.
is
must
it
be nice to have the
is it
flexibility
free and
and the money
clear?
to pay
Like,
for two.
is it paid
No.
for? Oh my God.
No.
2 mortgage payments, taxes are coming. Like,
Yes, utilities.
I mean, here's
If
the
we
thing.
could get within 50K of the appraisal value, I think we could get some more action. I mean, I had an open house that was packed when we first went on the market. I had showings at the start, but all the feedback was the same. Too many
overpriced.
updates for the price.
So when
Okay,
they're
so they
taking it off
won't,
the market, are they doing any of these repairs?
right.
Updates?
No, it's painting and carpet mostly, but it's a big house, so that's a huge cost when you have to go into a huge house and replace carpet and repaint it.
So, and that's exactly what they are not seeing is that they're already at the top of the market, plus somebody has to come in and pay 20 grand for paint, 20 grand for carpet. And so they're looking at this going, okay, it's already way overpriced. Plus I got to put more money into it. I mean, I almost wonder if they put the money into it for paint and carpet, if they could get their price.
I
But
don't even think they would get that price with the carpet and the paint.
It sounds to me, are they concerned with their net, or do they just want to show the neighborhood what big of high of a price they got? It almost seems
Exactly. Yep,
What's
they
the-
want to
what's-
show the friends the price they got, I believe.
yeah, wasting money every month.
their
for
ego
sure.
is going to kill them here. That's the problem, man. I mean,
Jeremy has something to say. He's like waving his hands and stuff. Come on, Jeremy. What do you have
Yes,
for me? What do you
Jeremy,
please
come
help.
off,
What do you-
mute there, guy.
All right, so I just had a listing appointment this weekend that was pretty similar to them. And I basically was just like, they talked about the appraisal and I just explained to them what the market is different than the appraisal. That right now it's a little bit of a buyer's market and you're going to get less based right now based upon than you would an appraisal. So they said we're 19K off. Can we list it more? And I just said no, and I just walked away. I just said when you're motivated, when you're ready to sell, let me know. And I'm just like I'm not, I just told them I said I'm putting skin in the game. I'm going to pay for photos, videos, all kinds of stuff, and I need to know that it's priced right because I want to make sure that I'm getting the money back. And so, like I said, I met with them. I showed them everything, told them all kinds of homework they would need to do on the home, and they're like, "We're still 19K off," and I'm like, "Sorry, I just walked away." I mailed them a card and said thank you for meeting with them. But at the end of the day, like if they're not motivated, I've just been burned so many times. Like I've over the years, I would just take anything just to put a sign in the yard and try to market and all that. And now I just putting my boundaries of like, man, I'm only going to work with people that are really, serious or whatever. And yeah, like I said, I walked away from this listing because we're over 19K. And
So
I just
Jeremy
said,
handled that
So-
tough conversation. He just walked
Yeah.
away. And that's good. I
So
mean,
here's a situation, Jackie, kind of similar. I just thought about this. So over the winter, it must have been last year. I had a house in Ann Arbor that I looked at comps. They bought it 4 years ago or something. And they bought it knowing they were basically going to rehab it top to bottom. And they paid around 500 for it. Well, 4 years later, I'm looking at it, still deferred maintenance, still all the stuff that needed to be done that they never did. The kitchen's outdated. There's no cabinet doors on this house. It's not great, right? So I said, listen, I'm going to give you two prices. If you do this, 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 and this, I can get you this price. If you want to sell it as this is the price. So I told them they paid over what they should have, I think, when they bought it originally. I think my numbers were 525 if we listed it as is. If they did all of the updates, like I said, we could list it at 575. And I think they paid 450 for it when they bought it. So they were still going to make some money on it. But they were like, okay, well, we're going to do then they come back and tell me, you know what? We are going to get our real estate license and we are going to sell our house ourselves. And I was like, okay. So they tried. They had it on the market for a while. All their feedback was too expensive, too much, needs a lot of work, way too high. They listed it at 730. I told them if they did all these updates, we could list at 575. They went to 730, I think, or 729 or something. And I was like, where did you come up with this number? And they're like, we know the value of this neighborhood and this house has so much potential and you could build an ADU in the back and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot. You know, like you were going to build this house. You were going to do all this. It was going to cost you $1 million just to add on to this house and fix all the issues. They had already purchased another house because they realized this one was too much. So they had already bought $1 million house. Now they have this house. So I got them down to 629. They would not budge. They put in a bunch of work. They redid the kitchen, very low end though. They did not, it was like Menards cabinets and stuff. Like it wasn't a super nice redo. Didn't even finish like the edges of the cabinets or anything, or the countertops. They did put new appliances in and whatnot, but it was a very small kitchen for the size of the house. Long story short, I kept telling them, we really need to be under, we need to be like under 600, like have to be under 600. Like there's no way that we are going to even, or I'm sorry, under 500. We have to be closer to 500 at this point, or wherever my number was. I can't remember. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm questioning my numbers. Either way, they finally ended up saying it was under 600, my bad. So I said, we have to be at like 599. I really think that's where we need to be. Show us where we need to do this. Show us the feedback and all that. So I showed them all the feedback, which I publish anyway. I give it to all of them. So I kept saying, everyone is saying that you guys need to be sub 600. Finally, they decide we're just going to take it off the market and we're going to list it with somebody else. So they take it off the market, list it at 599, exactly where I told them that we should have been. And then they ended up selling it for like, I think 520 or something like that. Like they ended up selling way less, like basically where I told them to list it in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it's like, and here's the funny thing. I reached out to them afterwards and I said, I just wanted to let you know, I saw that the house sold. Congratulations. Like I see what it sold at and I see it was exactly where I originally told you to be. I think it was like, they ended up selling it. It was like in the middle of where I basically told them to be. Like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I was spot on from the very beginning. So Jackie, I would say you could either tough it out or you could be like Jeremy and just say, listen, like cut your losses. Because if they're not serious, you're wasting your time and energy and marketing dollars on a house that they're not serious about selling.
Right. And they are family to someone who sends me a lot of referrals. So I want to try and hang on to them as long as I can. But yeah, I agree with Jeremy and I have been close to just doing that anyway.
Well, and I mean, maybe I'm sure that they are waiting for spring and the market to shift and all that. I have people right now who are trying to do the same thing. We got an offer on off market. It's off market right now, conditionally withdrawn. I got an offer on it from another agent who found it, and I think it's a great offer. I think they need to take it and they need to run with it because the price that they had it at was way overpriced. And of course, I went to them and they were like, well, maybe if we list it, we could get a higher price. And I'm like, you guys, if you get this price, because when we had it on the market, we were listed at 710. Everyone on the market, every showing we had said we would not pay more than 5 for this. So we're getting way closer to the list price. And they're still like, it's not really as close as we'd like to be. I'm like, you guys, you own this house free and clear. Walk away with the money. Be done. But you can't force their hand. That's the hard part. So good luck, Jackie. Good luck.
Thanks.
I mean, I would just
continued.
I would just keep showing them the data. And what, you would think that if all the other houses in the neighborhood sold, that they would be like, ding dong, hello.
Yes.
But
We have weekly conversations.
can I
So,
share a crazy deal? I think for me, I just got done with the crazy transaction, probably the most craziest transaction I've ever had in my life. I literally cried a couple times during, no joke. The agent was bullying me the whole entire time. And it was my sister's transaction, so there were some emotions involved. She's been divorced for a couple years. The ex-husband was driving in her yard trying to sabotage the sale. Just so many things that happened to this transaction. We're literally fighting over closing locations, closing times, when they were moving out. She threatened to move closing to Monday. So many different things. And I just had to just laugh at the situation because I met the buyer. She couldn't be at the inspection. So I showed up at the inspection and met the buyers and realized these buyers are the nicest people ever. And it really made me question myself. How many times do we as agents, maybe whether our ego or whatever, that we can mess up transactions because our emotions get in the way? And then two is I think for me, like I've learned to set times of when I'm going to meet with my clients about TRRs, about an offer. Because I think when we're just, whether we're when we're just driving and we're just throwing an offer that we're not emotionally prepared. And we just think that it's because we do this every day that we just think it's like, oh, just here's an offer, here's what it is, take it and run. For them, it's like, just like Nicole said at the very beginning, like this is a big freaking deal, but we just sling out stuff like it's no big deal. And so for me, like I'm trying to just I only discuss TRRs in the evenings with people. If I get an offer later than like 7 or 8, I don't discuss it with them until the morning. Like I just learned to because I think sometimes we set ourselves up for failure because we either rush the offer, we rush the TR because our emotions are in it, whether we disagree or we want the deal done because we're wanting a paycheck or whatever. And so Nicole knows me a little bit. I'm a very emotional person and I can either get super high or my world's falling apart. You know what I mean? And so I have to be careful that I'm not putting that on my clients. And I think I saw the girl at a big like awards ceremony for like top agents at a title company. And I literally like there was a magician that was going around, we're all drinking and I said, "Hey, can you make her disappear?" Like I was being little feisty with her even in person. But I just think sometimes this is an emotional, that's why they'll never take this to AI or online because there's no one there that's going to be able to comfort our clients or help our clients through hard conversations. And so, one, I think we have to make sure that we're in a place that we're just peace of mind. Like for them, like those people, like if I was really, probably if I met them year one or year two, I would have just took it and probably spent money, let it sit on the market, being frustrated, stressed out that I hadn't sold. But now that I've kind of been burned a whole bunch of times, that I've kind of just now I'm like, nope, nope, I'm not gonna take it. And so I don't know. That's for me is I'm learning to like even just put more boundaries on myself to not let myself get worked up. And for me, dealing with agents, like I'm the most fun agent you'll ever work with because I know that if you already set the motion that it's going to be fun, that when hard times come, that they're going to see that I'm not going to be a jerk when the hard conversations come or whatever. And an agent just text messaged me. She's like, "You're the coolest agent I've ever worked with." And I'm like, but you don't know that the TRR is going to come across a little stronger. But yet I've already set like, hey, we're going to be friends through this, even though we might have a bad conversation down the road. But I think we're the communicators. And I think sometimes we have to be careful that we take something from somebody, whether our clients, and then we push it on them, and then they push it to their clients. And by the time we get to the closing table, everybody hates each other. And for
mhm.
us, it was like, oh, it's just business. Let's walk away. We hug each other and go on. Versus like that was an emotional deal. Like my seller, which was my sister, she was bawling and just felt like she just got ripped the house ripped away from her by everything. And we literally didn't even close at the same location. And so she's text messaging me asking for me the garage code. I'm like, well, if y'all would have closed at the same location and make this a cordial closing, she would have got all the information. I gave it to her or whatever. And so I don't know. When I saw your deal, I was just like, man, this is so, especially right now when the market gets tough, our emotions get involved. And then
Yeah.
they're like Jackie was saying, great point, is like their emotions because their pride and joy of their home is like, well, where are you even seeing this number from? But it's because they feel like their house is better than everybody else, regardless of where the market is or whatever.
Right.
Um,
Well, and I think okay, what's a TRR?
I was just going to ask that.
okay, a
We don't
TRR here
call
in
it that.
Oklahoma,
Haha, I just Googled it.
a TRR in Oklahoma is called treatment, repair, and replacement. And so
Okay.
that's where you can ask for things to be repaired or replaced. So I always tell people you're negotiating the price, but now you're going to be negotiating repairs.
Okay, so
Do y'all
like we
have
have
that,
like
or-
ours is basically like it's our inspection contingency essentially. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so TRR is where they would send the inspection report, and then they would send a list of things that they want fixed, and they would say, see item 1.6 from the inspection report.
Oh, see, we don't even send our inspection reports here. We send screenshots of it, right, Dan?
Yes. Can I add something to it, please?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to keep in mind people that are not making decision, buying or selling, by just looking at the numbers and the data that we give them. That's just too analytical. People are buying and selling and making decisions based on their feelings. So Jackie, personally, when you have a hard conversation with them, with the sellers, dig deep into the why. Help me understand. Tell me more about it. How does it make you feel that the house is not going to sell for another 3 or 6 months? What's going to happen? Tell me more about it. How do you feel? And those questions, they're going to trigger them. Pretty much what you want to do, you want to have them telling you all the information, and they will come up with a decision that, yes, this price is too high. If it's kind of the same thing with the kids. When you tell them, hey, you got to do this and this and this, we're going to get a no. But if we're going to attack on the feelings part and everything else, they're going to feel that the decision comes from themselves. We are their guide. We're not even their experts. We are the guide that will take them from point A to point B, from listing the house to selling the house, not to selling the house, to the life that they have after they sold the house. What's make them feel, how they feel it. When you go more and have the discussions about feelings, I think you're going to have a better discussion with them.
That's a great idea. Now, I have not asked them in that way, how does it feel or how does that make you feel? But I'm going to try that.
And not only once, ask them twice. So if they give you, oh, I'm going to feel good about it. What does it, tell me more about how does it feel good for you? Because good for me, good for you, good for Nicole or Julie, it's a different good for everybody.
Right.
So get it more from them. Ask the why 3 times. And actually, that's going to be the 3rd or 4th time. That's the why that brings the actual why they want to do something.
I feel like it's like a pride issue, or like, I don't want to upset the neighborhood, or it's like a competition or something more than
we don't
their financial well-being. It's weird.
We don't know until we ask them.
Right.
You never know, and you never know what one of their neighbors may have said,
Oh, I know.
Oh, your house is worth way more than these other houses, so in their mind, if they end up selling less, are they letting somebody down? Are they, but at the end of the day, like Dan was just saying, but like, think about, you paid this off. You no longer have to care for this house. We're going to be in grass cutting season soon. Like, you're not going to have to cut the grass. You're not going to have to shovel the snow. You're not going to have to pay the utilities.
Lay mulch.
Think of all of the money. Like, how is that going to make you feel not have to deal with all of that anymore?
That's a very good one. But the only thing is that they have to tell you that first. And then you just reinforce it with the same thing again. So what you want to do, you want to bring those values up, those answers back. I don't want to cut the grass anymore. I'm sick and tired of driving into this neighborhood. I completely understand. So what's going to happen in 3 months from now on? We're going to have the same conversation, and you're still cutting the grass. You're still driving to the same neighborhood. How do you feel about that one at that time?
Exactly.
Will that $5,000 or $10,000 matter for you? You're buying your time. Or whatever else it comes, because you're going to be in that discussion. But those are the things that, like, you don't want to tell them. You want to you want them to tell you.
Yes.
All right. Perfect, Dan. All right. Let's get to number 2. 40 minutes in. Let's get to number 2. Now, this has been good, though, because, Jackie, that's a hard conversation that you have to have. So I'm glad that you came on. I'm sure this is partly why you joined this one. Okay. Let's do the next one. I was seeing who should I pick on here? But here's another one. What would you say if you had a listing appointment and they say, another agent said that we could get more? They could get us more if we listed with them. What would you say? Let's just, Julie, I'm going to call on you again because your camera's on. Sorry. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Crystal said, and the sellers are still paying monthly payments and the wasting all. Yeah, they're, I mean, constantly wasting money. All of these, it's time and energy and money wasted when you're just sitting on a listing.
I
Okay,
feel
so
like this is a similar scenario to the first
very
one,
similar. Yeah.
isn't
An
it?
aging. Yeah. Well, the first one was like that where it's overpriced, but here is another agent said we could get more. It's very similar. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course
I
he
mean,
did. You know, they're going to go with whatever you said.
yeah. I mean, I usually approach, when sellers throw out a higher price than I think, if it's not completely unreasonable, like 100 grand, right? I'm not the one to walk away from a listing. And if they've interviewed another agent and price is that important to them, like the stubborn ones that Jackie has, I'll probably take it. Like I'll probably tell them that we can test it if it's within reason. Okay, let's test it. But I would have them sign the listing agreement stating that after, I would say 7 days. Our market is so hot here. If it's priced right, mine all sell in one weekend. And I think you guys have the same experience. You price it right, you make it look really nice to the best of your and the seller's abilities and willingness. And then when it hits the market, it just sells. You create a bidding war if it's priced right. So
Yeah.
although I think this would be a better list price, I would be willing to test out that price. And if we're right, it will be sold the first weekend. If we're wrong, we'll be doing a price reduction in 7 days.
Yeah, I like that. What I do in listing appointments a lot is I will go over my CMA and I will go over some stuff and I'll say, I want to gauge where you guys are. Like you seem to know a lot about this neighborhood, you know a lot about the market. What do you think this house will sell for? Like realistically, after seeing what's on the market, that the house down the street sold.
No matter what the other agent said, no matter
Well,
what.
this is like if I just went to a listing the other day, they were interviewing 3 agents. And one, I asked them who have they interviewed? I didn't know the agent. And I said, well, how did that go? And they were like, well, she was like a family friend that somebody recommended. And, I
She's
didn't
not
get
very,
the
yeah,
warm.
doesn't do a lot of transactions.
I
or-
didn't they didn't act like they were interested. So I was like, okay, so doesn't sound like it went great. That's okay. That's why I'm here. And then they were like, yeah, we have one more to talk to. So regardless, I said, well, what do you think? Like, where do you think you're going to sell? We bought it at this price. I helped them buy the house 4 years ago. Anyway, whatever, 4 years ago. And they were still interviewing agents to sell, but they invited me to come back, which is fine. I'm happy to do it. But I already had rapport. So I already knew these people a little bit. So I just said, well, what do you think? Like I have an idea in my head, but I want to see if we're close. Tell me what you think. And this is like, I do this all the time and it gives me the number that they're thinking. And so if it's within my range, perfect. So they told me, I think, do you think 850 is okay? And I was like, that's actually the exact number that I was thinking, literally the exact number. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah, I think you're 850 all day. Like, I think we'd be fine. And they were like, wow, okay, wow, all right, yeah, we're excited, that's great. So, and there was no pushback or anything, but a lot of times if I ask somebody that and they're like, we really don't know. And I'll say, okay, well, this is the range, I think. And they're like, well, that's lower than what we thought. And I'm like, so you did have a number. So what was your number? How far off are we?
Yeah,
That's
I do the
what
same
I
thing.
asked you. Right.
I
That's
always
why I
ask.
asked. I want to
Like,
know where your
people
brain
lie.
is.
if you
And
want $1 million by,
People lie all the time.
Yeah. So they want to, I mean, they're doing the same thing I'm doing, right? They want to see if they're within the same range. But then I'll say, okay, if this is my range based on the data, where are you getting your number from? And a lot of times it's like what Dan
Hello.
said. I've lived in this house for 25 years. They're equating personal value and personal opinion of price based on their feelings of the house, the memories and all this stuff. Like it's not the same. So okay, I have another one because I know we're running low on time. I have several, but I'm stuck here. My eyelashes. My one that I always get stuck on, and I would love to hear, Jackie, I know you deal with this. Julie, I know you deal with this. I would love to know when you pitch staging. I get pushback on staging a lot. Even though we know as realtors, when you walk into a nicely staged house, it immediately feels warm. It immediately feels welcoming. You want to buy that house versus a completely vacant house, cold, boring, white walls, gray on gray on gray. Nobody wants, like, it doesn't, you don't walk in and be like, oh my God, this is it. It's so hard. I mean, you can, I did with my house, but a nicely staged house will always, I think, sell better and faster for more money. If you pitch that to me and I said, I don't really want to spend the money on it, how would you approach it, Julie? Well, wait, Jackie, let's do you
Let
first.
Jackie go.
I know that you guys do a lot of staging.
I usually just stage myself, so I have never staged with furniture. I virtually stage, and I also bring in the little things like the plants and the artwork, tables, stuff that would fit in my car. So I've never had anybody actually use a staging company. So I've never had that conversation.
Well, lucky you. I've done both. I used to stage a lot of my houses that were smaller. I would stage them all myself. I staged a condo. Actually just went out. I got tired of dealing with Facebook Marketplace for a couch. So I just went on Target and bought a cheap, nice, it's actually quite nice couch. But same thing. I mean, I think I spent $600 on all this staging stuff, and I can reuse it for years. Half my team uses my staging stuff on their houses. But okay, Julie, for a professional staging job where they are going to have some skin in the game, or you are, how would you handle that?
Well, first, start with a stager that's affordable because I was using a particular stager and I was having a hard time selling it because nobody wants to shell out $5,000 in advance.
It's a lot.
So the most recent one I did just a couple weeks ago was in Northville, completely vacant. To Nicole's point, it's just an empty shell. Not only does it not look good when you're there, it doesn't look good in the photos. Nobody knows what the rooms are, how the house lives. It's just an empty shell. And we all know also, because we show vacant houses, guess what? What are they focusing on? All the imperfections, all the little nitpicky stuff you would never notice if it were staged. So, when it's $2,000, it's much less tough pill to swallow for a seller. Now I wish we had true data to say you spend 2, you get 20. We don't know. We don't know what the true impact is of the staging. All I know is this was the perfect case study that I had in Northville because people went nuts. Like I had every agent calling me like, oh my gosh, who did your staging? And that was from the agent. So you know that the buyers were wowed as well. And a $400,000 listing turned into $466,000. Now, granted, it's in Northville. I get it. Everybody wants to live there near the schools. But this house was, backing up to an elementary school playground. It was nothing special, but it was like a $2,000 stage. And I did not have a hard time selling that at all. I used prior case studies to show. And I told them, like, it is a strong market. So I can't tell you exactly, but I will tell you this investment will pay off 20-fold. And it did. So just using before and after photos in your listing presentation of ones that you've staged, and not everyone's going to agree. And now that I've started using, it's Fox Staging, she's fabulous. I gave out her number to like 4 agents. I called her. I'm like, now if I keep giving your number out, are you still going to be available for me,
Right.
And she said, yeah, just I'll always have time for you. I'm like, great. But where was I going with this? 2000 was not a tough sell. And I guess I would say now that I'm using her and knowing that she's lower, I would be willing to just front that money for a seller as a value add because I feel so strongly about it. So $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, that's a harder sell. But, to do living room, dining room, it was a sun porch, which kind of doubled as another living space, and the primary bedroom, $2,000-ish. It's such a no-brainer.
And even if they push back on that, you can always say, I'll split it with you,
I would absolutely do that.
It's so much easier. Although I just had a condo that said, I did that. I said, I'll even split the costs, $1,000 each. We can split it, to make it's going to look so good in here. And he was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. And I was like, oh, but I did it for 600. It's not as nice. But it at least gives some perspective because we had somebody who came back with feedback that said it was too small. And my case study for this would be, I had a house in Dearborn Heights, small little bungalow. It was on the market for a month. I want to say. And all of the feedback was like, it's too small, it's too small, it's too small. I'm like, this house is not that small. So I did the Facebook Marketplace, put a round table, 4 chairs, put a couch, I went and got like a little buffet table at Home Goods for $100, put it where the TV stand would be, put a couple things, put a little chair. I didn't even do the bedrooms at all. I took new photos just with my cell phone. I took new photos of the staging, brightened them up, made them look really nice, swapped out the photos, lowered the price by like $500. I had 4 offers that weekend.
So there you go. That's a perfect example of you don't have to show them how much over. It just sold. It just
I did it. Yeah, I did it with another house too. It was the agent, how do I even say this? The agent was related to one of the clients and it wasn't going well. The sale was not going well. They were divorcing clients and the husband was having an issue, like believed that they were conspiring against him to not sell the house, basically, because that's our job as realtors, is to not sell a house. So she was like, I can't deal with it anymore. Please take it over. I go to the house. I'm like, this is the weirdest layout I have ever seen on a house. Stairs everywhere. Stairs everywhere. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm like, no wonder this house hasn't sold. It is the most weird house I've ever seen. So I told them, I'm like, you guys, listen, like this is a very unique floor plan. We have to stage it. And the husband said, absolutely not. I'm not spending any more money on it. The wife was like, what is it going to cost? And I was like, $2,000 and you will sell it. I promise. So she did it. She paid for it. She's like, don't even tell him that I paid for it. Let's just do it and be done with it. I don't want him to even know. Let's just stage it. You could say you paid for it. I don't care. Let's just stage it. Then I had to get them to lower the price by $5,000. Finally talked him into it. Basically just, he was one of those guys, reminds me of my dad, very aggressive, like I know better than everyone. And I basically just gave him the horns right back. And I was like, do you want to sit on this house any longer? Do you want to sell it? Well, I want to sell it. Then let's lower the price by $5,000. It's barely going to make a dent in your net. Like, let's just do it. And he was like, fine. That weekend, I did professional new photos and I did some aerial that showed the acreage like that, 5 offers. Like, and so those kind of things help me, but I still run into the people who don't want to do the staging. And it's very frustrating for me because we know what we like, we know what we see. We know we go into houses with all these people all the time. We know what feels better. But it's an interesting.
Yeah, you need stories. Like
stories
you have.
always sell. Stories always
you have to have
sell.
stories because they don't believe you. They just don't believe you. But what's in it for us? Oh, we're going to earn another, $200 in commission because you got more. No, for me, it's a brand. It's like a reputation. People always say, "Oh my gosh, your houses are all so beautiful." I'm like, they weren't so beautiful when I took them on. It's just a product that you're selling, and part of that is, selling yourself. So, but if it's a no, it's a no, and the house will still sell. So, I just like to provide that value as the agent who's going the extra mile, not just putting a sign in the yard and putting it on the MLS. Like that's just not the way I do it.
Yep. Okay, let's do a couple more of these really quick. We're running towards the end. Let's think here. What about the buyer side? We want to put a low ball offer in. Long story short, like we want to low ball the heck out of this house. What would Stephanie, let's pick on you. Can you talk? Are you able? Some people are driving. I don't want to.
Multitasking. Yeah.
Right.
I don't have a good one for that. I don't get that very often in this market. Like who's lowballing? I don't know.
I've had some low balls. Stephanie, did you want to say?
Oh, I can answer by the time Stephanie's.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't right now.
You're okay. Go ahead. That's okay. You're fine. I was just trying to call on different people, so it wasn't just me and Julie. Dan, what do you want to say?
I just want to copy Julie on this one here. Stories. Tell stories. Why? No, as far as offers being too low, you lost them. I just put an offer yesterday, and you know what? I don't want to say it, but it's almost like you. They went about $30,000 less than the asking price, and guess what? Now today I got to show them our house again, and believe it or not, they love that house. What do you want to do now?
Yeah,
I really love this house, or we are just playing offers.
Well, and I think too, having having the hard, so I'll give you a hard conversation. It doesn't necessarily have to do with lowballing, but it has to do with the buyers not following your advice. So I doubt, and this, you guys, whoo, let me tell you, I was heated for a while on this one. I worked with these buyers for 2 years. 2 years. The first year, we wrote on one house, and they did not want to go over list price. Absolutely would not go over list price. Now, these people had the money, wasn't a money issue, had the money. They just, I think the guy was just scared of his own shadow. Like, I don't know. Finally, second year, I'm showing them houses. They're finally serious. Finally serious. In fact, let me tell you this. At the last EXP regional rally, Future Davis, who's going to be at Level Up, by the way, was sitting on stage, and she said something about follow-up. And she was like, I follow up with these people till they tell me not to call them anymore. I will follow up, follow up, follow up. And I was like, you know what? I haven't heard from these clients in months. They've been ghosting me for months. You know what? I'm just going to reach out to them. I'm going to keep reaching out because I spent a lot of time with these people. They need to buy a house with me. So I followed up with them, and what do you know? They reached out. And I was like, heck yeah. All right. So finally get that. Like we kept putting in offers. They were serious this time. We kept putting in offers. They wouldn't go more than 5,000 over list price, wouldn't offer appraisal guarantees, wouldn't offer inspection verbiage, literally just didn't want to do anything out of the ordinary for a house. And yet they're looking at all the brand new houses that hit the market. So I finally had to have the tough conversation of, listen, we keep doing the same thing and getting the same result. You guys have the financial means. I understand you want to be financially cautious, but at the same time, you're never going to get a house if you're not going to follow my advice. So I essentially said, follow my advice, or maybe you guys just need to rent again. Because and I finally just put the ball in their court and said, either take my advice and do what I'm saying and get a house, or don't. And I'm going to be done at this point. And the lender was the same way, because they had him running numbers on every single house and then and then ghosting us. So we finally get them under contract on a house that they loved. The next day they backed out because they financially just couldn't do it. And I was like, you guys are going to be renters for the rest of your lives. I just, I was very irritated with them. I was firm but kind. And I just said, I don't understand this. We've been doing this for 2 years. You finally got a house under contract that you guys were in love with. And now you want to back out. Was it
a little out of was it the very, very top end of their budget, or they just like to go look at houses and see what they don't want to afford or can't?
It was actually $20K under what they wanted to spend.
They just wasted your time for 2 years.
2 years, the lender's time, their own time. I mean, it was just.
I think the tough conversations we need to have are like, when are we willing to walk away from potential commission money? That's what I had essentially talked to the lender about. And I said, listen, if this goes down, and I even told him, I said, I will not be surprised when they call tomorrow morning and say that they don't want to move forward. I just have a feeling they are very scared to be financially tied to anything. So I was not surprised the next day when they called at all. And I mean, she called me a week later to apologize again, and just, and I again was firm but kind and just said, I appreciate it. It was a lot of time and energy spent with you guys to not end up having it work out. So, I wish you guys the best of luck, and, don't ever call me again. But I mean, it's hard because I'm one of those people is like, if I'm going to put in the work, I want to see the, fruits of my labor here. But at the same time, you got to know when to cut it off. And like Jeremy said earlier, there is no reason to work with people who aren't serious. Those people who just want to go and window shop and look at the pretty houses and all that, or waste your money on trying to sell 100K over the list. And, it's like at some point, maybe I'm not the realtor for you. I'm not the one for you. I just don't know that we are aligning. And that's okay. Because when you stop focusing on the money and focus on your boundaries, your limits, you're going to start bringing in those people who respect those boundaries and respect those limits, and who are serious buyers, when you're not twiddling your thumbs looking at, houses that that they're never going to buy. And I have had the conversation too, where people have sent me houses that are nothing
like what they want. And I've just said, we're not going to go look at that. This is not what you want. You told me you want this, this, and this. This is not that. We're not even, this is an hour and a half outside of what you said you wanted to be. You want to be 50 minutes. This is an hour and a half. You're going to hate your drive every single day. I'm not going to have you hate me as a realtor. I'll resell it for you because you're going to get sick of it in a year, but you're going to lose money. So let's just focus on where we want to be, not out there, because you're not going to like it. So anyways,
That's a tough conversation. That's a good one.
that's a hard one. I have,
Here's one more little tweak to that.
Yeah.
First time home buyer, maybe little skittish. You know, this is the house for them. You go into multiple offer. There's just a little, maybe 5,000 increase that needs to be made, and they don't do it. Like, no, I'm just going to hold. I'm just going to stay here. And you know, if they just did it, they'll get the house. But you don't want to push too hard because they're a first time home buyer and they're young and it's the first offer you wrote. But you know, if you don't get it, the next home in the neighborhood is going to be 20 grand more because this one went 20 grand over. How hard do you push without them, you know, I don't know.
I think it comes down. I have done this. My clients just got possession on this property that we went back and forth for months. It's vacant land, but we went back and forth, $5,000 difference, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, you guys, this is literally $20, if that, on your mortgage payment. You're willing to walk away over $20 extra a month. Like, this is nothing. It might not even be $20. You guys have a great interest rate. It could be less. Like, you can't walk away from the property that you have been obsessing over, and we've been going back and forth over $20. I said, go.
What makes you think another one that perfect's going to come along anytime soon?
I said, we've been looking at properties for 6 months. Why don't you go to the lender, have the lender run it at this price and at this price, where you are and where they are. Look at what your payment is. It's going to be within dollars. It's worth it. Just do it. And they finally took my advice, went up the $5 grand, got it. No issues, got everything they wanted on this property. They got 17 acres so they can have their house, you know, their horse farm and raise all their stuff. And that's where I went back to them. The emotion. I was like, you guys, you love this property because you want to have your horses here. You want to get your horses out of that stable. You want them on your property so you can come out and see them anytime you want. You can have your trailer on this. You know, they had like the vacant land had a trailer on it, like a travel trailer that the people were living in. I was like, you get the travel trailer. You could stay out here anytime you want. There's a foundation for the house. You can build your house on here while you live here. This could not be a better option for you. And, you know, I went back to what they want to do with the property, and it finally clicked. It's $5,000. It's $20 a month. Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And thank God they did, but I don't know how they're going to build a house because they maxed out their credit. So we're going to see how that goes. But
yeah, I think that once you add up all that stuff, if you say, how do you feel now? You know, is it worth it for you to lose it for $5,000? That's what it is. You're losing the house. You're losing all your dreams, all the way it feels for you to have the horses here and all the stuff. How do you feel about losing this one here?
Yeah. Let's do one more really quickly, because I feel like this is a common one that we're seeing all the time about why should I pay a buyer agent commission?
Because you guys deserve it.
What do you say?
Because you guys deserve it.
Yeah. So
Simple.
I will tell you how I handle this. Julie, I'd love to know how you handle it. And if anyone else wants to chime in, please feel free. So when I get to the commission portion of things, I usually say, you know, I don't know. Do you know about the lawsuit that happened? It's 50-50, yes or no, or maybe I kind of heard about it, but I don't really know. And I'll say, it doesn't matter. Nothing has really changed. Like, paperwork has changed slightly, although it's pretty much gone back to what it was. So I don't know what is different. Paperwork has changed slightly. Nothing has really changed.
It's just not posted on the MLS. It's really
it's, you know, it was very clear before what we were paid. It is not clear anymore. It's all wrapped up into an offer. However, a seller has always paid both buyer and seller commissions. I'm being paid to market your property, sell your property, get you to the closing table, to get your money, get them the keys. The buyer, and they're, you know, it irks me a little bit when the seller says, well, and a listing agent does way more work than a buyer agent. And I'll say, actually, they don't. We both have to do a lot of work. A buyer agent, think about it. You're driving to houses, you're spending gas, you're taking time away from your family, you're writing up offers, you're working on weekends, you're doing all of this stuff. And usually when you lay it all out like that, they're like, oh, yeah, I guess so. You know, I haven't bought a house in a while. And then it's like, yeah, we're doing a lot of work. I'm contacting agents, I'm writing up offers, I'm, you know, trying to develop rapport with somebody that I don't know to try to get you a house. You know, there's a lot that they are doing. And honestly, they deserve to be paid. Now, do I think that the buyer agent should be paid by the buyer? Yes, but technically they are. They're bringing you the money, you're just crediting it to them. Nothing has changed with that. And usually once I kind of like go through all that and I just say they are 100% worth the money, they are bringing you a qualified buyer to purchase this home. We all have the same common goal. When you're just dealing with a buyer on their own, if I have to do that, I can't negotiate on your behalf. I cannot work. If I'm trying to double end the deal and work both ends of this for you, I have to become neutral, and I can't promise you that I'm going to get you the most money because I can't promise them that I'm going to get them the best deal. So we need to have a buyer agent involved to help with negotiations and help with everything. And usually they're like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I usually explain too, like you said, nothing's changed, which means sellers are paying it. I mean, who's come across a seller recently that isn't? Oh, 0%. Nobody's doing that. Nothing's changed. And if you agree not to pay it, the buyer's going to have to pay them. So they're going to want to pay less for your house because they've got to pay their own agent. So it's
back
just,
to
yeah,
the
right.
price. Like if you don't want to offer out commission, then please
buyer's gonna have to
plan on anticipating a
lower
X
offers.
amount of dollar lower offer to justify paying them, or they might go up higher and ask for concessions to be able to pay for their commission. So
Either way,
pay for it one way or another. So do you want to just do it like everyone always has, or do you want to do it the harder way?
yeah.
Here's your choices, A, B, or C. Which would you like to choose? That's the best way to go about it. Okay. All right, guys. I have more objection handlers. We can always do this. Again, I think this was a good one. Thank you, Julie, for participating, being my participant today, and Dan and Jackie. Jackie, I wish you the best of luck with your listing.
Let us know.
Thank you. I will.
Follow up. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget, Level Up is in April 22nd. We have an amazing lineup. Tickets are on sale. We have the pre-sale going only until the 20th. It is the 10th, so 10 more days. Early bird pricing, and then ticket prices are going up. Crystal, you should come into town for that, and I can finally meet you in person. Everybody, have an awesome day.
You too.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.